you can be successful.
Under the glove of Nets, then under the glove of Escobar, and Allred is aboard for Texas Tech here in the third.
And Danielle, you were just talking about the changeup. Stoddard throws a really good one there, gets Allred to be out in front on this swing, goes right over to Escobar at second base. And it almost looks like that last hop to her didn't hop up as much as she was anticipating, so it gets right underneath her glove. An error over at second base allows the first runner of this inning to reach base safely.
Ball one to Lindemuth, who singled and scored the first Texas Tech run last inning. 18 runs yesterday in the 5 innings for Texas Tech, a Big 12 tournament record. Madison mentioned 11 runs in 1 inning. That's a squibber that's going to stay in fair ground. Stoddard with the toss. 1 down as Allred takes second base. Tomorrow, first place Kansas City hosting Bay FC. NWSL soccer coverage begins at a special time of 12:50 Eastern on ESPN, ESPN Plus in English and in Spanish. So a lot to focus on tomorrow. We talked about Sunday night baseball. You got the soccer, but for us softball nerds, tomorrow is in many ways Christmas morning when you hear the NCAA tournament field in the evening.
It's pretty hard to believe that it's already here, too. It feels like just yesterday we were down in Clearwater.
Soft liner, gloved by Sniffen. Johnson's retired, 2 down.
You know, we mentioned the selection show earlier today, but I almost had to pause just for a second to say, oh yeah, that is tomorrow. It's already here.
On Mother's Day to boot. What a treat. Kill 2 birds with 1 stone.
Selection show tomorrow, 7 p.m. on ESPN2. And then we'll be wrapping up regionals this time next week. The Supers, and then everyone will be back here at Devon Park. Look a little bit different, of course, as they install the bleachers out behind the fences here. And it will be packed with fans as the interest, the excitement around softball continues to grow and grow.
I don't know about you, but for Selection Show Sunday, even though I no longer compete and it's been quite some time, I still get like nervous. I have that day where I'm like, gosh, these athletes, I mean, you have 4 years to try to create whatever it is you want for a program and where you want to go and the legacy you want to leave. And sometimes there's so many uncontrollables on that day. And Coach Tarr used to know at Washington, like, Danielle has to sit over there and she needs to kind of do her own thing. And
she's got her own spot for Selection Sunday.
I did.
You know, it's funny how things have really not changed at all, Danielle, working with you here. You got your little area down there and we're just giving you your space.
Oh, man.
Well, there's so much that has to be decided as Kennedy fouls it off. Tomorrow you've got, well, who's in the field? You know, those bubble teams sweating it out. You want to hear your name called. Who are the top 16 hosting? Who are the top 8? Because if you win that first round, then you're hosting the Supers, and that's the beauty of it. Yeah, and who's the #1 overall? That's right.
There's been so many #1 seeds this year, and then when they've been the #1 seed, they've gone down. But, I mean, I still have to say, Oklahoma, like, there's a good chance they win this SEC tournament. I think if they do that, I have to put them in the #1 spot with just their resume and what they've been able to do and playing in the toughest conference in the country for the first time and outright winning it.
Brand new conference, coming back from a 6-run deficit yesterday.
Yeah.
All those home runs, a lot of young players, a lot of new faces on that team. Ton of home run power for Oklahoma this year.
Kennedy walks for a 2nd time.
Well, and it feels like it's the most open, but then again, you're also like, that team seems to be heating up at the right time with a lot of these different parts in the way Landry's been throwing, and then more importantly, their offense.
A reminder, 1 o'clock Eastern time, SEC Network. It'll be Oklahoma and Texas A&M. Oklahoma the #1 seed in the tournament. Texas A&M the #2 seed, but Texas A&M #1 in the most recent ESPN.com poll, and Oklahoma #2. To your point, Danielle, it's been kind of a revolving door at the top.
And both of those teams have been ranked #1 at some point this season.
Yes.
Texas was ranked #1 at some point this season. Tennessee as well was ranked #1. Really the first time in quite a long time that we've seen more than one team ranked in that #1 spot, just because of how dominant the Sooners have been over the past 4 years.
I kind of like the hope, though, that it gives other teams. Over the course of the 4 years of how dominant Oklahoma's been, it's almost this like, dang, there's a good shot Oklahoma's going to win again. They haven't graduated anyone. Look at all the athletes they just continue to have year after year. But I do feel like this year there's definitely some more hope with some teams that if a team gets on a hot streak, they feel that they can win it.
Well, and then you look down a little bit. And we've talked, as Kennedy has pitch run for again, you get a dominant pitcher like Nyjah, who, if she's feeling good and just gets locked in like we've seen her here today, and she can go on and on and on. And then that's someone, you always say, Danielle, you know better than anybody else, like one pitcher can only get you so far, but like she's it.
Yeah.
she's that pitcher. This is a fly.
Grind of what it takes, the Big 12 champs. And sometimes when you feel like you're putting in the work and the result isn't happening, it can feel so defeating. And as a freshman, when you maybe don't understand or have the tools to endure that piece, because that's the hardest part of the game, right? The mental. And if you're not able to understand that you just got to keep going, it can eat you up.
Good bunt. Close play at first, beating out for the bunt single is Dakota Kennedy. First hit of the game for Arizona comes in the fourth.
Second time through the lineup, Arizona just trying to do a little something different here to get things going. Dakota Kennedy with a great bunt down that third base line. You could see the route that Bailey Lindemuth took to it, almost started running more towards the in part of the infield and then had to go back to field that bunt, and that's going to give Dakota Kennedy plenty of time to beat out that bunt.
Well, I even feel like Lindemuth was still in, respecting that Kennedy can drop that bunt. She was still able to get it down the third baseline.
Ground ball too short. There's a nice little play made by the player that we were just discussing a moment ago, Haley Toney. At short, one away. So here comes Devin Netz. She's been good at the plate this season and against Texas Tech.
Going up against Nyjah Kennedy, too. This is the first pitch of the at-bat that she sees, a rise ball up in the zone. She chose that pitch. She was going to go after the rise ball. She was going to hunt the rise ball, and she did not miss on that pitch up in the zone.
Well, and that was game one, and the only runs given up in that game by Nyjah. Gave up 2 home runs in that series to Arizona, and then was very careful when she faced Devin Netz again. Just knowing kind of the wheelhouse, and I mean, she went up and got that pitch, right? That just got out, but something about Devin Netz, she is not going to get cheated. She's going to take those mommy hacks when she steps in the box, but I think when I just look at her over the course of not only her career, but like just looking at her even this weekend, like she's been so big for them late in games, coming up. They've all been come from behind wins, and she's been the one that's kind of almost felt like started the rally in all those games and gotten them going.
Coach Caitlin Lowe says that she is the spark plug for this team, and you've seen that a couple of times in this tournament.
Fouled off by Netz.
This is when it makes it tough, because it's like back-to-back rise balls, right? Now you're down 1-2, and now my mentality is she going to go change? That's in the back of my head, even though I haven't seen it, but that's what I'm thinking.
And I still think timing-wise, you've got to gear up for the rise ball or the curve ball and react to the changeup. Just like that. Sometimes that's all it takes. Just get a piece of it to see something else. Now, one thing I've noticed with Kennedy is she likes to throw that changeup back-to-back, especially when she gets into a 2-strike count, and especially after batters foul off the pitch before, because they're thinking, I'm going to flip back to the high-velocity stuff, and that's when she'll drop in those back-to-back changeups.
Dirty.
Right on cue. She's been able to show with this pitch, comes in right about belt high, so as a batter, you think that's the rise ball. You think it's going to continue to move up, and by the time you recognize that pitch, you realize it's too late.
But that's also the difference maker in Nyjah this year, right? Like, she is someone that's had to reinvent herself with that piece. We've seen her throw her curveball quite a bit more, not necessarily into left-handed hitters, but it's been able to pull the string when she's needed to on back-to-back pitches, getting out of her comfort zone with that, where now she can do it at any point. And like we just said an inning earlier, she hadn't even thrown her changeup yet. Second time through the lineup, you have the leadoff, get down the bunt, feel like any momentum is going towards Arizona at all. She's like, nope, pump the brakes, throw the change piece a couple times, and show them who the big dog is.
Bring the heat at 71.
Sydney Stewart, another batter in this Arizona lineup that just has so much power, such an explosive swing from the right side. And throughout that Arizona series, Danielle, I felt like Nigeria was just working the outside part of the plate against her, trying to see if she could get Sydney Stewart to almost lean outside, and then she'd come right back inside with that rise on the inner half.
Full count now to Stewart, who popped out in foul ground to the catcher her first time. Stewart was 2 for 3 yesterday. Big home run, 3-run shot to send Arizona to the championship game, and she's on board for the first time today.
Well, and just think about how, like, battle-tested this Arizona team is going to be, knowing that they've got to face, in my opinion, the best pitcher in the country. You're not going to take away the heat of Carlin Pickens. You can't take away someone like Tegan Cavan. But when I think about true spin and one of the best, even thinking about, like, the Olympic level and seeing those types of pitchers, like, her spin and velocity and what she's able to do is so good. And so I look at Arizona, that's it's hard going up against someone like this. But what I'm saying is other pitchers that you are going to face once you get into the postseason, you're like, well, dude, we faced Nyjah 4 times, so we're good. We're going to be able to make an adjustment. We're going to figure it out.
Nyjah's been pounding the zone, though. 11 of 14 first pitch strikes today against Arizona. She's just been in control right from the start. Finally, Arizona has somebody in scoring position and 2 runners on here with 2 down in the 4th.
Kaya Altmaier had some good at-bats against her, too. Ended up working her way an 8-pitch at-bat throughout that series. Ended up dropping in a base hit out to the outfield, too, on one of those rise balls.
1-2 pitch to Altmaier. Great player who has carried on Mike Andrea's legacy here with an Arizona team trying to get back to the Women's College World Series here in Oklahoma City. Of course, 8 NCAA titles, 25 World Series appearances, but the last in 2022.
Danielle and I were talking about it yesterday, just the intensity that Caitlin Lowe brought to every single part of her game. Even if it was out there in the outfield while we were hitting batting practice, she was always working on her reads in center field, and you made sure that you were getting out of her way in center field so that she could get her work in.
Yeah, don't mess with Kate.
I think that's the common theme, though. Like, you guys were both intense players. I don't think anything you liked, and I don't know if this is the way with Caitlin, you liked beating the other team more than you liked winning. Do you understand? Like, there's a little subtle difference there, but like I'm getting that vibe with all 3 of you.
Well, she off the field, jokester. She'll make you laugh, but on the field, she was game on. And sometimes I had to learn real quick, like, yeah, maybe now's not the best time to crack that joke to Kate. Even when we're up by 6, like, let's just kind of leave her be. So I don't know. She's the same way, though, when she coaches, right? Like, she's stoic. She just stands in the dugout. She has this presence about herself, and she almost carries that from how she was as a player to a coach.
Soft liner on the short hop, gloved by Beal at short over the nets. Jennings is retired, 1 out here in the 4th.
Well,
it's tough to follow a legend, and she's done a fantastic job trying to keep Arizona among the elites in college softball. Oh, hey, hang on a second. Mother's Day weekend, what is this? We have viewers watching us and watching Mom.
Well, that was Harper, her daughter, watching at her Little League practice, and then Caroline, which is Alyssa Wild's sister, and Alyssa Wild is on Arizona, so they're a sister and her daughter play together. And Kate said, yeah, Harper was just glued to the iPad yesterday during their practice when our game was going on. I know Harper is watching. Quick shout out to you.
Yeah, 9 a.m. back home, first pitch, right? It's like, we used to watch Saturday morning cartoons. I like watching Saturday morning softball if I'm Harper.
So many great role models for the young athletes across the country on all the teams that we get a chance to cover this season.
It's the ball to Haley Toney.
I feel like it's pretty special, too, when your mom is the head coach of a program like that. And, they have a son as well, but being able to kind of bring your daughter around these strong women and just how they carry themselves, that's going to help her kids more than I think she even knows for just so many things. And it's pretty special. I mean, I love being able to bring my kids around, and I still remember when Audrey got to meet Nyjah when she played for Stanford last year at Washington. My daughter is 8, and she still talks about it. She talks about it almost every week, that Nyjah's her best friend. And I say that to Nyjah. I said it to her yesterday, that, you know, Audrey still talks about you, and it's just remembering that she doesn't know that you pitch a perfect game or you gave up a home run. It's just the impact that you have, the taking the time to say hello. That makes a big imprint on them.
Strikeout for Stoddard, getting Tony looking 2 down here in the 4th.
Miranda Stoddard has done a really nice job since coming into this ball game. Haley Toney has been swinging the bat really well the past 2 games, so to get her looking on that pitch inside, and that's one thing that you see from all the Arizona pitchers too, is they are not afraid to work both sides of the plate and work hard inside to both right-handed batters and left-handed batters.
Sometimes I feel like we don't see that enough, and I know I say that to you a lot, but like, being able to establish the inner half as a right-handed pitcher going in on a lefty, right? Like spinning that curveball, dropping that drop down in on the hands. I just think there has to be this fear factor that pitchers need to instill in hitters of like, hey, that's my plate. And at times we don't see that enough, right? Gosh, I remember we used to face Caitlin Lowe for Arizona State, and like I could literally spin a curveball and it's going to hit her, and she would spin at it, and it was just saying, hey, this is my plate. And
I think too, it makes it difficult for the batters. That you hear oftentimes batters going up there just trying to split the plate in half, trying to pick a side, and when you're only throwing to one side of the plate, it kind of plays into their game plan a bit.
2-2 the count to Davis, who's 1 for 2, RBI single her last time. 5th hit of the tournament for the junior. 1 of 5 transfers from Louisiana who followed Jerry Glasgow to Lubbock. Now Stoddard gets the strikeout back-to-back cage.
Of the tournament, both their games been come from behind wins. So even though Coach Caitlin Lowe stressed, we used to be that team that jumped out really early offensively, first, second inning, we're packing a punch. But at least in this tournament, they've had that fight of knowing what it's like to come from behind. Yeah, hard against Nyjah, but doesn't mean they don't know what that's like.
And even heard Coach Lowe talking in the interview as well, just their adjustments and the quality of their at-bats too. That's something that she's looking for. Even though Devin Netz ended up striking out in that at-bat, she liked the amount of pitches that she was seeing, how she made Kennedy work out there in the circle. Those are the little things that can go a long way when you're facing somebody like Nyjah.
This has been the good inning in the first 2 games of the series for Arizona. 3 runs in the quarterfinal round in the 5th, 3 runs in yesterday's semifinal round in the 5th inning. A couple of come from behind wins for Arizona, and here we are in the 5th inning.
I feel like sometimes you have to have those moments where you do need to tip your cap. Even if you have a good at-bat and you strike out, like, hey, I'm going to tip my cap because, yeah, she is one of the best, but what information or how can I, like, pass the bat mentality to my next teammate, even though it may not be me on the base pass, I don't know, trying to ignite something. And those 2 strikeouts by Miranda Stoddard, like, that's the energy that I want to try to carry over and get going.
Well, Kennedy gets her 5th strikeout. 3 of those strikeouts coming against the last 4 hitters for Arizona, 1 away.
Well, and if you're swinging at this pitch, Maddie, you know more than anyone, like, it ain't happening.
I know from experience.
Hang on. Was that a Madison Shipman chases rise balls dig right there by you?
I chased it quite a few in my day. I still believe in my mind that I could hit them, even though my barrel was nowhere close to those pitches. I practically strike out against Nyjah up here in the booth because I'm swinging and missing at the rise balls that she's throwing out there. But I do think when you get to this point in the game, when you're facing Kennedy, you almost have to take a chance, right? You have to go up there knowing there is a possibility that she might not throw the pitch that I'm looking for and I might get to an 0-2 count, but you almost have to split the plate that way and try to take that approach. Whether you go up there and you hack at the rise ball up in the zone, or do you take a chance that she's going to throw that rise ball low in the zone, or even that changeup? Do you go up there and try to sit a changeup?
I would not be good at Nyjah's change sitting that. But even talking with Coach Amber Freeman about the information that these athletes like to receive. Some like a lot of information, some don't. And I think when I look at Nyjah over the course of this game and her being able to throw first pitch strikes, that's something that's in my radar as a hitter. Man, she's getting ahead of us. She's throwing her best stuff early. And then we're making her not have to really go outside of her zone because we're throwing at pitches way out. So it's like, hey, if I do choose to swing early in the count, I have to be able to barrel up a pitch. And that's what's so tough about facing her. If you get under it, you foul ball, then you find yourself in danger territory, which you've seen the last two hitters.
And then you're looking at a changeup for strike 3, 2 down.
I know it's a low percentage play, but you're almost to the point in a 2-strike count where you want to flip your game plan. Maybe you go up there and you be on time for the changeup and just try to react to those rise balls out of the zone. You could tell by her timing, she was thinking she was going to see another 70-mile-per-hour pitch, and she just drops that changeup in there for strike 3.
Ball 1 to Sniffen, who lined out to left her first time.
Well, and the difference in velocity, that last pitch at 72 miles an hour and then the changeup, 59, 60, the lower body movements when you're fooled by pitches is so hard, right? And trying to have that mentality to step in that, oh, I'm going to sit change. And like you said, and I loved hearing your adjustments, if you're trying, is just you're going to start your load a little bit later. And I'm going to wait and almost kind of like trick my body into thinking that it's going to be harder and I'm waiting on the change.
There were some changeups where you could see them immediately out of the hand, so you can make that adjustment as the pitch was on its way to you, but there were times where pitchers did a really good job of hiding their changeup, so I had to change my rhythm and my timing to only be on time for the changeup, so that even if I wanted to swing at the fast stuff, there was no way I was going to be able to get the bat off of my shoulder in time to even take a swing at them.
So you're saying with Nyjah, just watching her here, there's no difference in her delivery, her movements, no matter what pitch she throws, which makes that changeup even more effective.
And she's throwing it for a strike consistently, too. She's been pumping them in there left and right, no matter what the count is. And like we talked about earlier, she'll throw them back to back.
Well, I feel like when you move on to the postseason, teams try to find a way to adjust to that pitch. I mean, her being able to move forward and say, hey, I got a 1-2 count, I could bounce this. Or how low can I put this pitch? Like what type of, height difference can I get on it? And there's another prime example, like 56 miles an hour down. To me, this has been the biggest.
Into this week, you always share your nuggets, your wisdom of advice with the ladies. What advice did you give them coming into this championship game facing Nyjah Kennedy?
Well, there's not much. I mean, Caitlin and her staff have done a great job preparing this team, so you just got to go out and trust yourself, execute the game, and have fun. Nyjah's a good pitcher, and, she doesn't give you many pitches to square up, so you got to work hard at it, and as you can see, she's pretty phenomenal.
Coach Lowe, being one of your former players, what is it like now, watching her take the reins and continue on the success that you built?
A lot of pride. I mean, I was able to kind of hand select her to take over the reins because I knew she was a great player, but really a great communicator, and has just done a really solid job with this program, and I really feel good about the future of it. I think we're in good hands, and it's been fun to watch them, in the Big 12 for the first time. And it's been kind of exciting to play some different teams, although I do miss some of my counterparts in the Pac-12. But, I think it's exciting. In this event, I hope we can get more people out here, with Oklahoma not being here and Oklahoma State, Texas. So we got to work hard at trying to build the foundation again. But I like what we're doing, and I love being in the conference. It's been a lot of fun for all of our sports.
Thank you so much, Mike. Really appreciate the time.
Okay.
Eric?
Obviously, he hasn't turned in his Arizona colors. Still a part of the program. And as a matter of fact, now he knows things in a tournament to get a little busy. There goes the runner down to second, and a good throw by Stewart's getting Elder one away as Allred at the plate here. As we take a look at this replay, I guess they were in need of some food, and Mike was the delivery driver at some point this week. Did I get that story right?
Nice throw here by Sydney Stewart. The third runner she's thrown out in this Big 12 tournament. It looked like Texas Tech had a hit and run on trying to get some runners in motion, something that Coach Jerry Glasgow likes to do a lot. But back to your story, Eric. Coach Caitlin Lowe said that Coach Candrea is willing to do whatever it takes to help out the team, and even if that is bringing some food to the coaching staff as they're scouting other teams, he's going to do it.
And not plastic utensils.
No.
Oh, no. It's Arizona softball. We
The
don't
metal
deal.
stuff.
We find we bring out the fine china and silver if needed.
And Coach Caitlin Lowe's like, we're just sitting behind home plate, and Lauren Lappin just eating some salmon with her metal fork, you know, we're scouting.
8 national championships. Sure, this is a bit of a nice little throwback trip for Mike to be back here in a place where Arizona had some great success during his long, successful tenure, as he talked about with Morgan a moment ago. That slap foul by Lindemuth, who's 1 for 2 with a run scored. Well, Miranda Stoddard's done a great job settling things down, getting help with the defense. The caught stealing by Stewart. Already reached on an error. It's the first error for Arizona in this tournament. But can they overcome this deficit against Kennedy? And as you pointed out, Danielle, 4-0 feels like a lot more with the way Nigeri's pitching.
Yeah, it's almost like they seem kind of confused on what they're trying to swing at, and that's when you know a pitcher is just really cruising.
Fly ball hit the deep center field, but playable for Arizona's Shockey. And that will do it for Texas Tech here in the 5th. On to the 6th we go in the Big 12 championship game in OK.
Be able to do this in this day and age with how good hitting is, Maddie, for a pitcher to be able to do this, I think really is impressive, because there's a lot more of an advantage for the hitter sometimes than there is for the pitcher.
And I think too, when you're a pitcher that throws at 70 mile per hour plus, then you can at times think maybe I can just rely on that velocity, but she is truly pitching out there. She is spinning, she is working those rise balls, even moving them in different directions. I think about the rise that she throws outside to the lefty. She gets great arm side run on it. It's almost moving like a right-handed screwball away from those left-handed batters, and then you bring in the changeup. And like you mentioned, Danielle, it's almost like she didn't even bust out that pitch until she went one time through the order.
Well, she didn't need to, and that really is the beauty. When teams don't make adjustments on you as a pitcher, you don't need to change who you are if you're being successful. If I'm able to continue to keep going out and throwing upstairs and getting big swings and misses, it's when you start to see, hey, Dakota Kennedy steps up, bunt, lead off an inning. Okay, it feels like Arizona's getting any type of momentum. Now's the time to turn the page and find a way to just have better pitches in certain situations to get in their head even more.
Gets the pinch hitter Dimmler. 5th straight strikeout for Kennedy. 1 away.
And this is that rise ball that she'll throw on different levels outside to the left-handed batters. But look at the run. Look at the way that this pitch is moving like a screwball away from those barrels. When you're trying to get on top of a rise ball and you have to deal with that type of movement away from your barrel, that's where those swings and misses continue to climb up.
I mean, my goal as a left-handed hitter would be to simply try to just hit something on the outer half down that line. Like, I would pick some type of a visual as a hitter when I'm going up against someone that's dominating, simply to just kind of give myself that, like, okay, hey, this is the side of the field that I'm trying to hit. I know this is where I'm getting pitched 99% of the time. And sometimes when your eyes can lock in with something, it gives you that advantage. I know we do that for the pitching piece, but sometimes as a hitter, that's what I like to do, especially when our team was struggling.
Sometimes someone's unhittable. I mean, only 1 ball's left the infield against Kennedy today. That was a fly ball to left. There's a ball to the leadoff hitter, Kennedy. 15 innings pitched for the tournament. 3 hits allowed and no runs for Nyjah.
In just, what, 2 walks? 2 walks in this entire tournament. She had 1 walk coming into today, had 1 walk to Sydney Stewart back in the 4th inning.
3-2 now to Kennedy, who has the hit for Arizona against Nyjah. That was a bunt single her last time up. Fourth time that Kennedy's gone to a full count today. And there's the second walk of the game. Well, just back to the big picture part for Kennedy. You know, Danielle, you went through this as a player, being the National Player of the Year, doing it back to back. A lot of pressure, a lot of expectations. And you throw in the fact that, you know, she goes from Stanford here to Texas Tech, helps transform this program to a regular season championship for the first time in program history. They're playing in just their 2nd Big 12 tournament championship game. She's changed things in a big way in this conference and for this team.
I also think her getting a hit really helps and relieves maybe any type of pressure that she may feel as a pitcher. That was a big selling point for her going to Texas Tech. I mean, she communicated 30 minutes about pitching, but 90 minutes about hitting and what the plan was and how she was really going to start to like own in on that hitting piece. And Jerry and her have spent a lot of time together working that. And sometimes that just gives you a fresher mindset in the circle.
It's going to be a base hit. Doesn't leave the infield, but no problem for Shockey with her speed. She's got her 4th hit of the tournament. And Arizona has 2 aboard with 1 out here in the 6th.
So this is what speed's going to do. Look at the way the right side of the infield is playing back, and they're shifted up the middle. So this is a perfect spot for Reagan Shockey to pull that ball to the 3-4 hole, because no way that Langeliers is going to be able to get that ground ball in time to get her out over at first base.
Well, this is what you want if you're Arizona. You have 2 on, and you have the player of the year at the plate, and Devin Netz, who takes ball 1. Netz lined out to short in the 1st, struck out in the 4th. 0 for 2 today, but 4 for 8 in the tournament. 1-1.
I feel like you can't say enough about Devin Netz to just last year hurt, doesn't get to play. This year, such a good 2-way player, Big 12 Player of the Year. But the offensive numbers, the ribbies, the homers, and then to be able to do it on the flip side as a pitcher.
Back to the pitcher. Kennedy gets the lead runner, looking for 2. And Texas Tech turns it.
Chips that go into it, but man, Texas Tech, if they're able to win this is big.
Well, and to be able to lengthen out the lineup, too, when you do have Nigeri in the circle, being able to get production from more than just one batter in your lineup, not having to rely on Maya Davis to be the one that comes through every single time. But when you look at some of the clutch hits today, Bailey Lindemuth, Victoria Valdez, Haley Toney in the 9 spot, you've got a lot of different people that have been able to contribute in today's game.
Lana Johnson leading things off, 0 for 2 today. This is out to left. Kennedy puts it away for out number 1 as Nyjah Kennedy steps back to the plate. We go down to Morgan.
Talked to Kennedy. She says she wants her legacy to be remembered as one of the best pitchers and hitters in the game. A big reason why she made the move to Texas Tech in her 2 years at Stanford. Just 35 times in the batter's box compared to the 80+ she's had this season. And she told me really the focus has just been on timing, seeing more live reps, just recognizing different pitches. She said she'd hit on both team scrimmages in the fall just to see as many balls as possible, needing, frankly, to just get caught up to other hitters. And you know, Coach Glasgow, guys, telling us her talent lies in her will to get better. She's one of the hardest working people he's ever been around, and it's rubbed off on this entire team this season.
Kennedy swings at the first pitch, lifts it to right. Altmaier drifting back to the track, and she has it. 2 down here in the 6th.
Well, and when you think about Nyjah, like coming out in February, she batted .319, 4 home runs, 18 RBIs. And then obviously the leg injury, and that impacted her. She had 0 ABs in March and was 5 for 20 in the month of April, still 3 home runs, but she just hasn't been able to get like a lot of consistency, and that's hard with hitting. You know more than anyone.
Unable to work too.
Yeah.
You can't get the swings and BP and leading up to games that you normally would.
It does not happen that way, and she's even had to take a little bit of time off throughout the week from the pitching, right? Doing a lot more on the weekends, a lower impact type stuff throughout the week to just continue to keep her body doing what it needs to do. So ultimately she's able to pitch because that is the money maker. That's what you need her for. But when she's able to, like, I feel like unleash on something, you said it when she hit that double to the wall, like her true power, she's strong.
And to Morgan's point too, when you're not able to get those consistent reps, it's the timing piece of it that's often the hardest part for hitters to get back into the groove of facing live pitching consistently, not to mention all the scouting that's out there and the off-speed pitches, the off-speed drops and off-speed rise balls and change-ups and everything else to go along with it. So being able to try to get as much work in as you possibly can, but still be able to come through and execute when it comes time for game time.
And I do feel like it's helped her in the circle, because I really believe like it's taken that pressure off of the player that she's expected to be when she crosses the lines. She is that player. Everyone knows that. She's getting everyone's best constantly. So when she can step in the batter's box, she can be someone completely different, and it's great.
Valdez with a ground ball to short. Miranda Stoddard continues to pitch well for Arizona, but it's still 4-0 Texas Tech as we head to the 7th.
Well, and then you see like a daddy hack on that one, right? 72 miles an hour swinging, and it has a little bit of elevation and it's up, right? And those are what make it so tough when you get down in the count, when you think I need to swing early because that's my best chances to have success. She really does make it tricky on you because she is able to go up. And you can think about pitchers back in the day. Rise ball pitchers sometimes tend to miss, right? And when they miss, you as a hitter make them pay, but it's just the fact that she can change planes so good, not necessarily down, but it's the off speed that makes.
Is all red, one down here in the 7th.
That changeup too almost slows your timing down just a bit to try to be on time for the rise ball. To the right-handed batters, especially when she's working that pitch inside, feels like it's getting in on your hands even faster than it is.
When I remember in the rubber match when they played at Arizona 3 weeks ago, she cruised at 66 that whole game, and then in the top of the 7th inning, her team was able to get a couple home runs. They were up by 3. She was gassing it at 73, 74 miles an hour. Like, I'm actually a little jealous that she can choose when to throw at 66 or she can gas it up at 73 miles an hour.
Fly ball to left off the bat of Altmaier. In foul ground, making the play is Elder, 2 down.
When you're pitching the way that Nigeria is in the circle, you need to have the defense be able to have your back, and Demi Elder having to run a long way into foul territory, especially off the left-handed bat. This ball's just going to continue to tail off into foul territory there. Nice slide and grab for out number 2.
Another first pitch strike from Kennedy to Shep with 2 down here in the 7th.
Well, and now you're in your dome. You're like, oh, man. She went change. Is she going back? I was planning on swinging early and
popped up. Catcher calls for it. In a season of firsts, it's another first for Texas Tech. Big 12 tournament champions for the first time.